This is Inspirational Women, a weekly series shining the spotlight on female trailblazers making a true difference in our community. Once again, here is Kate Daniels.
I find people's stories to be so captivating. It's always so interesting to uncover the history of how a person arrives at the work they're doing. And then it's so critical to know that while we may have plans for a certain path, life offers so many various opportunities that can take us to places we never might have considered. I feel that Colleen Bennett's story is one that exemplifies this, along with strong belief in self and a bucket load of persistence. We meet Colleen, an interior designer, a business leader, entrepreneur, building businesses to support other women, and also a dedicated mother. Colleen Bennett, good morning. It's really wonderful to have you join us this morning.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on your show. I greatly appreciate it.
I am very excited to be connecting with you. The little that I read of your bio, which is really quite extensive, actually, your work in the design field and beyond, related to the design field, what you're doing in your community for the world, I think is just so amazing. So I'm looking forward during this month of March, Women's History Month, to be able to speak with women like yourself who are making such an important, big difference in the world.
Well, likewise, same with you, with all the amazing things that you've done. I think it's awesome for women to have these conversations, and also again about Women's History Month. I think it's important that we talk, we have conversations, and we talk about what we're doing, how we can help each other and help other women, move forward, which I think is one of my biggest goals in my life.
And it feels as though you are doing this with the way that you have created your business, that it's evolved, and you're making, and it's international, which I think is with the beginnings of now it's CBB Design, but when you're working internationally, primarily in Central America and Mexico, it is a different name for the business, but it's still you. It's what you're doing.
Yes. So it was, we started our company, Catechus Berlin, which was our international design centers, in 2006. So we're about, oh my goodness, 19 years. And it was my husband and myself. And basically, we were kids and we were like the Amazon of high end. We brought in all this stuff via container. I had actually worked at Drexel Heritage, which was a furniture company that's now no longer. And I was the first female international rep they had ever hired. I was also the first female rep they had hired under the age of 30. So I started off when I was 21 years old. And I walked in and everybody's like, "Oh, you hired a new secretary." And I turned around to look for her. And I was like, "Oh, you mean me? Oh, no, no, no. I'm actually a rep, just like you guys." And they all got really quiet. And then they're like, "But what's your territory? Because there's no new reps for domestic." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm an international." And they all went really quiet. And I was like, "And yo hablo español, entonces no preocupes si no entiendes qué estoy diciendo." And they got really quiet, like, "Oh God, now she speaks a foreign language." And I'm this big, tall blonde. So it just didn't make any sense to anyone, if that makes, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it was weird because I had always grown up, my family was very women are equals, women are all this stuff. We grew up that way. I grew up in a family of three girls. My poor father, he was so outnumbered. So I came in like a bulldog, I'm here, and I'm a female, and I get equal rights. And they're like, "You don't get equal pay." In fact, you're going to have to start off with and I said, "Look, I don't know anything about furniture because I triple majored in politics, history, and Spanish, which I was the first girl at Wake Forest to do that. But I obviously triple majored in a foreign language in coffee talk, which wasn't going to get me much of a job." So I learned furniture and I worked in the factories and all of that stuff. And I started from the ground up. I had no background in interior design. I had always loved it and I understand the historical references and all that. So I'm an organic interior designer, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I've had to learn through the past 20 years, architectural design, all that stuff, just by being on projects. So I was working for Drexel and I traveled to 68 countries. I went around the world, and which was really cool. And I really loved it. It was awesome because I got to see how other women in other countries, worked, acted. And I have a lot of women friends around the world, which was really cool. I mean, I can call up friends in Russia today. I can call up friends in Australia, New Zealand, Asia, all over. Just because as I traveled through all these countries, I realized we're all very much the same, very
Mm,
much so. Same issues, same problems, same,
right.
and it was very eye-opening. I think the weirdest one travel I ever had, I went to Indonesia, and the woman actually spat on my foot before she ever met me, because she'd never met an American, and all on her TV we're supposed to be these horrible people. And by the end of the day, I didn't do anything. I said, "Okay, thank you for spitting on my foot." By the end of the day, she hugged me and said, "I am so sorry, and I am so embarrassed. I've never met an American woman, and all I've heard is that you guys want to take over the world and do this, and you're anti-Muslim." And I'm like, "Well, I hope that you've learned that we're not anti-Muslim. We're not here to take over your country, and we're just here to have a good business. And it's very nice to meet you and learn about you and your family." So, yeah, it was like an ambassador,
Yes.
um, and it's interesting that those political or socio economic things are ingrained in people's heads, that when they actually meet a person and you have this conversation woman to woman, you do realize, hey, I've got kids just like you. I've got other issues just like you. Um, and that's what was going on. So basically, after doing that for 4 years, we moved down to Costa Rica. We relocated, my husband and I, to Costa Rica, where we started our first interior design firm. And then so from there, we expanded up to, we opened our first store at like 23, 24. And we're in very male dominated cultures, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So being a female, earning a good wage in these male dominated cultures is not typical. Um, and when we opened up our other stores, all of our managers were making the same wages as a doctor. So they were being paid very well. And we expanded into Nicaragua, Honduras, Ecuador, and Colombia, all women. And they would call us the Catechist girls because we bought a lot of furniture. My girls made a lot of money. And I took women who were typically like a house, like very connected in society, and I taught them interior design like I had learned. So they were then able to provide for their families. They were able to do a whole bunch of stuff, which was really cool and very empowering, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Um, so that's where I kind of got that going. And then what we would do is give scholarships to their children to go to schools, because a lot of people could not afford to like go to good schools, like to private schools. So we worked on doing that as well, which was really cool. And then we were down there from about 2006 to 2012, and then came back to the States. At that point in time, we had been picked up by Ralph Lauren. So I represented Ralph Lauren as their visual merchandiser and account manager for all of Africa, Australia, and Latin America for about 11 years. And then I was the youngest, probably, account manager they'd ever hired, which was kind of cool. So I got to learn corporate design, corporate world, corporate Ralph, and meet again, still traveling the world, meeting all these cool people. And it was really fun. And then when we moved back to the States, I have three girls. So in the process of this, I'm a mom of three daughters. And it was, it's interesting having three girls, being a mom, trying to teach them equality, trying to teach them drive, trying to make sure they're not as overbearing as their mother is, or eager, you know, um, tr- if you understand what I'm saying,
Well, I think that
because
you're being just an amazing role model for them, definitely. But just as you were describing, the work as you began at Drexel Heritage, then you moved to Costa Rica, just how you were able to work with that and make it work is I think amazing and great. It's like this model that we should be able to embrace and replicate because it's so positive and uplifting.
yes, and I think Yeah, I'm generally a very positive person. I mean, that's just, sometimes we get negative, but you need to uplift other people. You need to uplift other women. I find like sometimes with women, we can tear each other down so fast. It's really sad. We are our worst enemies, I find. Where it's just like, hey, if we actually like banded together and we didn't put everybody else down and we uplifted each other and helped fix each other's crowns, we'd be great. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, and I'm just smiling at Crown because it is definitely a way to just present, embrace that you are real, embrace that you are strong, and that's what I'm just so in awe and inspired of with you, Colleen, is that you learned the furniture business, and you just didn't let anything hold you back. This is such important information that we need to know that all of us can do.
Excuse me. Sorry. It's our vacation. My kids are like, can we come in? I'm like, everybody chill, chill.
Here we are then juggling motherhood with business, but also family vacation. So that too, I mean, just I think speaks so strongly to being who you are, and in the course of it, just accomplishing so much that is a great model that I think attests to or offers that any of us need to see where our strengths, where our talents are, and pursue them.
Sometimes, yes.
Well, I just feel that being able to be as directed, like with your husband starting, moving to Central America, to Costa Rica, starting a business, but in doing that, how you really uplifted the women and their families there is just the way that I feel. If we all did this sort of thing, wouldn't we just have such a strong and very well functioning system and country and world?
Yeah, I wish people would do that. I wish people would lean in. I wish people would uplift. And I think, you can lead by example. And I think that's, key. Um, but there's also, we make mistakes. Let's talk about making mistakes. Let's talk about not
Okay.
being perfect. Let's talk about like not creating this FOMO of fear of missing out. Let's talk about being real and authentic. You know what I mean? Let's talk about that making mistakes, and you're going to have to pick up your big girl panties and get going and fix things. You know what I mean? Like not everything's perfect. And I feel like right now in this world, we or my generation of women are trying to portray ourselves as these perfect moms, these
Mm.
perfect this, and that just doesn't exist. And just being real, you know what I mean? Like I tell my kids, I'm sorry, I made that mistake. That was on me, all me. That was all me. That was all mom. That won't happen again. I'll, earn your kids, earn your daughter's trust, let them know you're going to do this. You're going to stumble. You're going to hit some roadblocks, but it's finding your inner strength, for having your friends, having your girlfriends, having, other women in your life that are strong, that will help you. It's important, and that you don't always have to do it yourself. Does that make sense? Like, I
Oh,
think
yes.
that's a huge thing that isn't really talked about. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. To think of perfectionism, I think, is just really setting us up to fail in a large way. Uh, Perfectionism just doesn't exist. So to be upfront, honest about that is totally I think the way that we need to go, and say that yes, we'll make mistakes, but mistakes help us to learn more, find a different way, a better way.
Yes,
Right.
I agree. And I've used that in my business. I've used that in my life. I've used that in creating multiple businesses that have failed. I have had many businesses failed. I think I've done probably 20 to different 30 different businesses that have failed. I've done wedding businesses that have failed. I've done everything like, oh, that failed, but I learned from it. And then I'll incorporate that into my business and say, okay, I know how to add this part, but I'm not going to do that part. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I've definitely done that where I'm like, but at least I could say I tried it. Does that make sense? I don't want
Yes.
to go out of this world and say I didn't try that. Um, and then certain things that you don't think would ever take off, like we started a bag company in the middle of pandemic. It's called Butte Couture, which is bags uplifting through empowerment. And what we did is when all the factories were being closed down, we had a bunch of scraps that I was going to throw away. I was cleaning out my office, and this lady walked in who'd been laid off, and she's like, "Well, I can make those into bags." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So we made prototypes using these bags from the recycled scraps of leather, um, uh, indoor outdoor fabric for liners so that they could be bleach cleanable. So if you bought a nice bag and say a bottle exploded in it or a pen exploded in it, you could bleach clean it. So we made these prototypes and we sold like 300 bags in like 2 months. And we ended up in Vanity Fair magazine
Hmm.
and Condé Nast with like a little out of Morganton, North Carolina, just
Yeah.
this tiny little concept. And we were upcycling, which was really cool in a time when people really needed positivity. And of course, that's when people weren't really giving because everybody's freaking out that they're going to be bankrupt. So we gave 10% of our proceeds to local charities, and we gave it to the Women's Domestic Violence Center because that was also majorly on the rise during COVID. So again,
Mhm.
it shows you how quickly it moves when you give back, when you do things, when you've got things that are positive, when you're helping other women. And that was a really cool experience. It was really, really awesome. We had this model shoot. It was a lot of fun. And it was awesome. And it's kind of slowed down, and now people are wanting to ramp it back up. But it's just, you just see how like the universe and things work when you do things that are good, if that makes sense.
Yes, most definitely. And when I read the little bit that I could about this, what you created with it's, is it Butte Couture?
Butte Couture.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought this is amazing. And you mentioned upcycling, which I think is a relatively new term for me. But to be able to use these scraps rather than throw them into landfills, make them into something now that is beautiful, that people really want to use. And being leather, of course, it's going to have longevity to it as well. I love how you can just, what is it, make lemonade out of those lemons.
It was really cool, and I didn't expect it to go as far as it did. And it was fun. It was a project that was fun. It was a project that was empowering. The woman who does our bags has now bought herself a car. She's been able to do a whole bunch of things. So, she has a living wage. It's for women, by women, empowering women. But it's not just for women. Obviously, if men want to buy things as too, we're
Yeah.
totally cool with that. But that's what it was. And my kids loved it. My girls loved it. They'd help me pack the bags, take it to the office, send it off, do all that stuff. So they were learning that too. And it was just fun. And they were really proud of me, which made me feel, the best is when my daughters are like, "Mom, we're really proud of you." Like that I think is the biggest thing that you can hear. Um, so yeah, I think that's my kind of my little story. And so I, during pandemic, left what I was doing at Ralph Lauren and all that stuff and restarted my interior design business. So I major pay cut, restarted with like 6 clients and grew it to 150 clients in like 4 years. We do everything in 3D. We have, which is really cool. And so we're able to do things all around the world, which has been a lot of fun. So that's why I'm also down here on the islands. I'm working with some clients down here and kind of redoing what I did before, but just on the other side of it. And it's fun, but it's also hard to be the boss when I've got, my kids coming in. Can we go? Can we go? Phone calls with clients, trying to do all that stuff, and then trying to enjoy vacation when things always fall apart when I'm gone.
So you really have to become this almost like a master juggler, but also, if a ball drops, then you kind of figure out how to work around that or let someone else pick it up and move forward with it.
Exactly. And I will also say it's very hard for me to let that go too, but I've had to learn. All right, this is your job. I'm gonna let you handle this, and it's all gonna be good. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that where I am now, and great to have these conversations with you. Talking about women, and I hope that this inspires other people to be positive, help, do, and just have conversations, and be real. I think that's my clear message that I think I'd like to leave, if that makes sense.
And you are adventurous. I think that's the word, where it's like, oh, uh, you didn't know furniture, but you moved in that direction, and from that, great things and other doors opened. And I think it's just to maybe not underestimate ourselves that we can always be learning something else and really becoming greater from it.
Yeah, you don't have to be always be a doctor or a lawyer. There are other avenues and other ways and amazing things that you can do. I wanted to be an international. I wanted to travel the world. Well, I didn't do it as a lawyer, but I sure did it as an interior designer and was able to do and go into some really cool people's houses and meet some really cool people all the way. And I think that was a lot of fun. And I did it by myself. A lot of that was just travel by myself. So, which was really also extremely adventurous because good lord, you will get in a traffic jam or be trying to figure out how to communicate in Chinese and you don't speak that language. How do I get here? Like, and there wasn't Google Translate back then, like, um, so yeah, I mean, it's just fun. So I think follow your dreams, do what you need to do, um, and don't hold back because there's just a lot of things out there in the world for you if you do it.
And having your second language, knowing Spanish, even if, what did you say? It was coffee chat,
Yeah.
Spanish. But still, you were able to have conversations. However, you just mentioned not being able to speak Chinese. You don't let that hold you back. But if you can learn another language, so much the better.
Oh, yes. My daughter speaks Spanish. It's super important to speak a second language to me, that you can able to converse, that you can be out in the world, that you can, communicate because I feel like the second language also improves your brain, improves your ability to do a lot more things. And, you know, you're looking at me right now, or if you would not expect me to speak fluently Spanish, but it's something that you need to work on. And my daughter right now is working on Spanish and Mandarin, so she's going to go out and she's going to just be a full force.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you want to prep yourself, take that time, learn something new, always be learning. I think that's a very important thing that we women need to do, is always be learning. When you're out walking or out driving, put on a learn tape, practice, do, be. you know I think it's super important. I'm not Spanish of Spanish descent, but it's something that I went and I did, and I worked really hard at it, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes. No, and that's definitely encouraging, and we can see how it really fed into your being able to make a lot of moves and changes and help. I think when you were in Central America, being able to really connect with the women that way, if you can speak their language, probably just really reinforced the connection you would have with them.
Oh yes, well, because you could really understand what they were saying and they could communicate with me, and we could have a free talk, you know what I mean, where it wasn't like, point, what's this, what's that. It was, okay, what are we really trying to achieve here, and how are we going to do it. I think the biggest one was that the lady that worked for us named her daughter after me. Was kind of cool. There is a Colleen Hernandez out in the world who's named after me, which is kind of fun.
That is an
So
honor. That is great. Now, with your daughters, you're very involved in their lives. I read that you are involved with their Girl Scouting.
yes, I was involved with Girl Scouting. And then I've been running their PTA for their school. And then my middle daughter has epilepsy. So we have learned all of that. We've probably spent 200 days in the hospital. And I've had to really learn how to fight and advocate for her, and fight and advocate for them medically. And I've had to learn a lot about medical, a lot about neurological, which is very tough, and also how to make sure that I take care of my other two girls, even though my middle one has that issue. And we're still learning that. We're still working on that.
Sure.
But, it's not something I would ever wish on another woman. But I've also met other moms through that, and other women. And recently we had a friend whose daughter died from epilepsy, and we were all very torn up. It was very, you feel it. Your kid is my kid. We've all been through this. And yeah. So not everything is roses. There's also part of our lives that are tough, but we stay positive and we push through.
And that is so important. And I saw that in reading about your in reading your bio, and I thought about what that would mean. And during this month of March, later this in March, we have epilepsy. No, it's Purple Day, which is epilepsy.
It's Purple Day,
right? Purple
March
Day,
26th.
right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think that attests to the need to be speaking about this, becoming more informed, be aware, and supportive of each other.
Yes, I am 100% agreement on that. You have to have friends in that. You have to be open, and you got to talk about it. You got to talk about it so there's no stigma. You need to
Yes.
raise awareness, and you need to use your voice. And I think as women, we've got to always do that. Raise your voice. Say it out loud. Don't be afraid, and you will see what will happen. Because we had 500 people go on a walk in North Carolina that they never had before. We met the top neurologist. She got the best care. She got the right medicine that's made her where she is, all by talking. And I think that's super, super imperative that that's what we do as women, that we're out there, we're talking, we're doing, and we're advocating. Always advocate.
Well, I must say, you are so amazing. You are doing so much, and it's just so in so many areas, so broad, from the design firm to kids with medical issues and being there to support. And what do you do to rejuvenate?
Ooh, I actually have to get up at 5 a.m. and work out. I need to get up and do it because if I don't, I have to have my me time. If I don't get my me time, I don't do very well, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I have got to get up. I've got to take care of my family, and I've got to get situated and centered and do all that stuff so that I can get my health. That was one thing that did suffer, was my health. So focusing on my health has been my thing, getting healthy so I can take care of myself and then take care of my family. So,
Well,
yep.
I think you are amazing and aware. You're self-aware to know what needs to be done. And if you, I get the sense that if you kind of stumble a bit, it's like, okay, you can stand right back up and refocus and get moving forward again.
Yes, have been that way my entire life.
Well, Colleen Bennett, I appreciate who you are. If people want to follow you, get in touch with you,
Sure.
how best?
They can follow us on CBB Design Firm on Instagram, or I'm Colleen Bennett on Instagram as well. Reach out. We're always here to chat, always here to help mentor, and always here to have the conversation.
Well, I appreciate it, and I love your story. It's so encouraging and uplifting and just so perfect during this month of March, Women's History Month, and going beyond and really working in collaboration with each other. So many thanks, and I hope you have a fabulous vacation.
Thank you, and thank you so much for your time today. And thanks for getting up early to talk to me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. So keep on enjoying. Now we wind up this hour of important stories highlighting Women's History Month. Please check this station's website for the podcasts for more information about these guests, and please share the stories with your family and friends. I'm Kate Daniels, and if you'd like to connect with me, please just email me at katedaniels@hubbardradio.com. Thank you for spending time with these special guests today, and good morning.
Thank you for listening to Inspirational Women. Tune in every Sunday morning at this time to hear about those truly empowering the Northwest community, all for the greater good. Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women are a public service of Hubbard Radio Seattle.